The retirement doomsdayers are back. They're back, baby. They're like coming out from the freaking, from the rocks for which they scurried under for the last basically 40 to 50 years. They're like, no, retirement is bad for America. It really is. Listen to us. My man Don has sent this to me, and I want to share it with you because it's a, by the way, it's a great piece we can just destroy. It's fun. Now, yes, I am in a collared shirt because I'm getting ready to go to a Christmas party. Isn't that right, Pablo? And we're going to party like it's 1999. You won't be going. You're going to party with the ladies. The only lady I party with is my wife, if she'll have me. So here's my favorite person to pick on. Because this is just, she's perpetuates this retirement fear. Her and Susie Orman just I don't follow Susie Orman anymore. I don't know. I mean, I never really followed her, but I literally pay no attention to Susie Orman. Because she's just so silly to me. This lady gets more street cred amongst the academics, and it's embarrassing, frankly. It really drives me up the wall. My man Andy Biggs over at American Enterprise Institute, who writes a lot on this stuff, he says she's a real nice lady. And I'm like, that's great. You can be nice and still tell people, and still cause people to have panic in the retirement. You can still be nice and do that, but I just don't get it. I don't get this insanity. It's weird to me. The only thing I could possibly think is there's this, we know there's a certain group of people that are more loyal to left-wing politics than they are their own religion, if you know what I'm saying. Until it comes where, October 7th comes around. And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, wait a second. We didn't realize our left-wing politics are going to go like this. And we all know this. And it's just like, now you're like, wait a second. So when it affects you, your left-wing politics all of a sudden have a problem. And yet where were you before, man? I mean, it's the same thing. It's like left-wing people, it makes them feel so good. But when it hits them like a 2x4, all of a sudden they're like, well, I didn't know it was going to affect me this way. And you're like, yeah, exactly. There's a great George McGovern ran for president, far left guy, ran for president in 72, I think, against Nixon. And he went to start a B&B in Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota. He goes, man, I didn't know all the red tape I had to go through. You're like, yeah, no crap, George. That's the crap you've been putting on us, entrepreneurs and business owners, for years. He's like, I can't make it go out of this. There's too much red tape. It's like it must be nice being to live in this bubble called left wing, basic Marxism. But reality is a freaking BI to the each, if you know what I'm saying. BI each. All right. The dinosaurs are back, and they're good dinosaurs, as IBM announces halting their 401k matches to fund a defined benefit plan. Oh, that's great. The result will be stable and predictable benefit that will professionally invest every retirement savings dollars to maximize risk-adjusted rates of return. Oh, and how do we know it's going to be professionally invest your every retirement savings dollars for risk-adjusted rates of return? Because Teresa tells us it's going to be professionally managed for specifically risk-adjusted rates of return. Oh, okay. By who? Well, people that are professionals. Oh, because they're better than us? Interesting. And then she says there's no reason smallish firms will not start to sponsor them too. And then she uses, I'm like, is this lady in the real world? She uses dentist offices that do defined benefit plans. She uses dentist office as the example of firms that are going to DB plans. Why are Teresa? So remember, Teresa's a professor at the silly thing called the New School. Why do dentist offices do defined benefit plans, Teresa? How can you not flipping know this? Because I used to handle 401k plans for dentist offices, and we would do DB plans too. Why? Because the owners could put a hell of a lot of money in their plan relative to the regular worker. That's why they did it. Teresa, how do you not know this? 401k has to have a safe harbor. You have highly compensated employees, HCEs. All right, so you have to keep it very egalitarian, if that's the right word. Defined benefit plans, you don't. It's based on age and income. Oh my God. I mean, I'm sitting there and just my jaw is dropping. This ignorance, either ignorance or stupidity. I don't understand which one. Ignorance just means you don't know. It doesn't mean you're dumb. The reason dental firms do it is because the dentists, who are generally 50 years old, are making big bucks. They're like, I can defer all this money. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whereas my frontline lady at the desk, she can't defer but just a little bit. I can't believe Teresa doesn't know this. I mean, if she doesn't know it, then I don't. What the hell is she doing? DB plans have been given up for dead. Why were they given up for dead, Teresa? Oh my goodness! I talk about this in my book, the history of retirement in America, going from 1890 to 1978. I think from William Graebner. I'm not going to get into it here, but we know why defined benefits went bad. We know how corrupt the defined benefits were and how poorly run they were. It's just a fact. Let's see. We're going to keep going down here. Technically, IBM is setting up a type of DB plan called a cash balance plan, which are often called a hybrid between a defined benefit plan participants who gets an annuity based on the earnings of a collected pool of money managed by professionals. Oh, as long as professionals manage it, it'll be great. Never heard that before. Early withdrawals are not permitted. In the cash balance plan, the employer has some wiggle room on how much to invest each year. The employer. The flaw of the plan, of the 401k, so check this out, the first thing we're going to hit. The flaws of the 401k type plans have been well known. And what does she cite? Watch, we're going to show you what she cites here. This is freaking idiotic, man. An article from 2006, right, 20 years ago. It's time to admit the failure of employer-based pension system. See, this is what I'm talking about. She doesn't want any employer-based plans. She wants it all from the government, where you have no say in the management of your own money. That's not freedom, man. And we're going to cite some freaking fool here, who's this Susan Stabile from the University of St. Thomas, where the hell that is, from 2006. What the hell is that? It's time to admit the failure of the employer-based pension system. Oh, by the way, employer-based pension system is what? Oh, early withdrawals are not permitted in a cash balance plan. The employer has some wiggle room on how much to invest each year in an employer-based pension system. Oh, it's mind-boggling. You can read this. I literally don't care what Susan Stabile says because it's so freaking stupid. It is stupid. It just pisses me off. Oh, that the U.S. relies so heavily on 401ks is the main reason the Mercer CFA Institute for Global Pension Index flunks the U.S. model for providing enough accumulation, stable investment, and reliable lifetime benefits. And I destroyed this article before because Wall Street Journal talked about this about a month or so ago, how we only get a C plus in our freaking retirement planning. And I can't remember off the top of my head what I destroyed that in a different video. I have to revisit that because I can't remember the exact video I did. But it was about a month or so ago. I said, man, it's freaking idiotic, man. I'm not going to destroy it here because I just can't remember what I did. I'm not going to take the time to research it again. But it was idiotic. And I'm just going to show you real quick. Hold on, hang tight. Here's a Mercer, 47. We came like 30 or something like that. So here's a US right here. We had a C plus right there. And the Wall Street Journal said, oh my goodness, we only have a C plus. Actually, let's see if I can't find that article. I have time to research it because we got to get out of here in 17 minutes. So anyways, keep going. You can look at my videos. About a month or so ago, I just destroyed that stupid article because it was dumb. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Anyway, no wonder DB plans, defined benefit plans, pension plans, earn a higher risk-adjusted rate of return than DC plans year after year. That's interesting. So I said, let's click the link there, Teresa, shall we? Let's see what you're talking about. DB, what? 2016? That's a DB versus DC plans for a fee performance and significant investment performance and fee significance. That's from 2016, but it's not even 2016. It covers from 1990 to 2012. It's freaking stupid. But you're going back to 11 years, and this is your citation? What? And then on top of that, we say Boston College. Look from at 5500s, which is how you allocate, or the tax returns. Or I don't know about the defined benefits. I'm not sure, but it's defined contribution plans. And they say BC then adjusted for asset allocation and fund size, factors other than fees, and that in their view might affect returns. We're not going into detail on how BC did this adjustment. Bottom line, BC was working from 5,500 data with a certain amount of educated guessing was necessarily involved. Okay. And although the asset allocation of the two types of plans, defined benefit pensions and defined contributions, 401ks, differed significantly over the period from 1990 to 2012, asset allocation would be expected to have a modest effect on returns. Asset allocation, even the reason, I'm just like, although the asset allocation, stocks versus bonds versus cash, of the two types of plans differs significantly over the period of in question, 1990 to 2012, we're in 2000 and to 2023 here, by the way. Asset allocation would be expected to have only a modest effect on returns. The reason is that the long run pattern, where stocks did significantly better than bonds, has not held over the past 2 decades. Oh, is that right there, freaking Alicia Manuel at Boston College? So I just said, let's look. Total bond market index from Vanguard to total S&P 500 from Vanguard, 1990 to 2012. Let's take a look. We put $10,000 in each, and let's see where we ended up here. Stocks right there ended up at $64,000. Bonds ended up right there. Stocks had literally, look at this, 8.44% compound annual growth rate. Bonds were 6.69. Stocks did literally, they had a 50% higher rate of return, and this is just 4 years after the debacle that was 2008. So this idea, it just is so stupid. Boston College has an agenda. Teresa Gildelli has an agenda. It's insanity. They don't want you free. They don't. They want you to have to freaking dictate to your employer to dictate to you. It's insane. So even though the asset allocation differs significantly over the period from 1990 to 2012, asset allocation only had a modest effect on returns, even though I just showed you right there. Look at the difference in returns right there. That's not a modest effect. That's a significant effect. It's freaking idiotic. All right, let's see. Our explanation for these would be the pattern of declining interest rates to present has produced unusually favorable return for bonds compared to the entire period from 1926 to 2014. Well, maybe, but even that, look at that. I mean, the numbers are the numbers. All right, having accounted for the effects of plan size and asset allocation, Boston College concludes that the remaining DC underperformance is attributed to investment management fees. 401, do you literally think about it, if you work at Vanguard, or if you work at IBM, or if you work at Lockheed Martin, your investment management fees are through the roof, relative if just in like an IRA. Do you really think that? Do you really think defined benefit plans don't have high investment management fees relative to 401k plans? I just read an article the other day that New York City paid like billions of dollars in their defined benefit management. It was no different than the 401k fees. It just wasn't. This whole thing is just so freaking stupid. It pisses me off because people are going to hear this like, oh my goodness. So let's go here too. Evaluating BC's conclusion. Why compare DB to DC returns? In case it's not clear, the whole point of doing this study is to quantify how big a problem fees are in defined contribution plans. It's fair to say that BC has a strong view that fees in DC plans are too high and reduce overall DC plan performance. This study and its conclusions clearly support that view. Well, of course they do, because they're freaking basically picking it apart as they see fit. It's like, we're going to pick this study for, the 19C, but we're not going to pick that study. Thus, this brief must be viewed as a piece of advocacy. That doesn't mean it's wrong or flawed, but it's useful to understand that the primary point of BC's comparison is to show that DC plans underperform, and of course they're going to show the data to prove that, even though they manipulate the data. The comparison has a superficial appeal. As the story goes, most sponsors of defined benefit plans over the last 20 years have frozen or terminated them 100%. There are, we believe, 3 objections to the idea of comparing DC to defined benefit plans as a good way to figure out whether DC plans do a good enough job. Right here, but I want to show you. Third, comparing as BC does returns at their plan level misses a fundamental difference between the two. DB plans invest as one big account against individual horizon with overall return risk objective. The overwhelming majority of DC plans are participant choice plans, where individual participants invest against his individual investment horizon with a unique risk return objective. It's a methodological mistake to simply sum on a plan by plan basis all those individuals and call that the rate of return for the plan, 100%. All this is saying, and this is what Teresa Gildelli is using as her evidence that DC plans suck and defined benefit plans are good. All this is a very long-winded saying that defined benefit plans are apples and DC plans are oranges. Yep, 100%, man. Thus, we do not believe the DC brief proves that DC fees are too high. But if we look here, she says right here, no wonder defined benefits earn a higher risk rate of return than DC plans. This is it's like childish. For me, it's like taking candy from a child to debunk these people. It's insane. And then she says right here, and spending down a lump sum is often hard for an individual to do. Well, that would show you that freaking defined contribution plans are the way to go. On one extreme, the elderly cling to their lump sums. They cling like, ah! They live well below their means and leave an accidental inheritance. On the other hand, lumps are used as a pile of cash to buy durables and luxuries, like the red truck syndrome, a term coined when newly retired workers with lump sums have something they've always wanted, a shiny new truck. And we will not, that's the whole thing. Basically, Teresa and all leftists do not trust individual behavior. They don't. They want to manage it from the top. It's like Atlas Shrugged. And if Teresa were in charge, we'd all be a lot more poorer. That's just a fact. Look, I have no sympathy for these people because they're hurting people. They are literally hurting people, keeping them at their crap little jobs to work in misery while they're getting heavier, obese, their blood pressure is going through the roof, as opposed to freaking enjoying what they're supposed to be doing, which is glorifying God and everything. You should glorify God at your work. But if you're miserable, it's going to have a hard time with that. So Teresa, Jill Deli, man, what the hell are you doing? Why are you on doing this? Do you not know the history of the defined benefit plans? How do you not know this? Do you not know the surveys that the vast majority of retirees are fine? In fact, I just got a text from somebody. My guy was in the Army. His wife was texting me. She went to some clown conference on some Christian financial group who was using the Dalbar study. And I said, oh my goodness. Anyway, I said, don't listen to this guy. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. This rookie mistakes that this guy is saying. And I said, look, I did it when I was a rookie too. And then I quickly, because I read this stuff, man. I dive into it. I quickly realized the error of my ways. Let me see if I can't find it. It's I'm not going to say the program. I'm not going to say it because anyway. About 42% of Americans will retire broke, says this guy. Ugh. And then he says, what else is he saying here? I freaking hate that. I hate it with a passion. And then he says, right here, he cites a Dalbar study. Hold on just a second. Right here. And my friend Ashley was with me, and she was a naysayer about this guy too. But you should have seen the masses signing up for his investment classes. Needless to say, we did not sign up. And then he goes on to say, the Dalbar study right here. Over the past 30 years, the S&P 500 has averaged 11.6% rate of return. The average investor earned a return of only 4.1 in their equity funds, and that's just so stupid. It's idiotic. All right, love to hear your thoughts. Let me go party like it's 1999. Get out there and enjoy, and God bless, and glorify God in all you do. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to say, hallelujah. I'm drinking pints of Guinness. All right, see you.